Millions of years ago, before man, before the ice ages, when the world was warm and humid, forests like these covered much of the earth. And it was here through eons of geological time that a profusion of life evolved. The remnants of these primordial jungles are the rainforests of today. They are home to half of all the animal species on Earth. Yet in the shady depths of the forest, there is seldom more than a fleeting glimpse of this abundance. When they are seen, the animals are often revealed as strange and splendid examples of natural perfection and adaptation. Myriad in their diversity and sometimes bizarre in form, these creatures give the somber forest a special mystery and splendor. Possesses one of the richest natural endowments on Earth. When Christopher Columbus landed here in 1502, he found a mountainous land of rivers and forests like those he'd seen 10 years earlier in Hispaniola. Then, in what is perhaps the first description ever of a rainforest, Columbus wrote, "Its lands are most beautiful, and filled with trees of 1,000 kinds and tall, and they seem to touch the sky, and I am told that they never lose their foliage, as I can understand, for I saw them as green and as lovely as they are in Spain in May." But it was partly from the early explorers that some popular misconceptions arose. For many, the first glimpse of a rainforest was from the rivers that flowed through them. The forest seemed impenetrable, a tangled mass of undergrowth through which a man could only hack a path with difficulty. But in reality, the dim interior is more open and usually easy to move about in. Little light penetrates the dense canopy, and so undergrowth is sparse. Only a thin layer of leaves covers the ground. A coral snake searches for a place to drink and finds enough rainwater in a curled leaf. The bright bands of color warn predators that it's poisonous. Below this thin layer of leaves lies the forest soil, and a paradox, for the luxuriant vegetation of a rainforest is often based on impoverished soil. The explanation lies in the way the forest recycles its nutrients. Dead trees and fallen leaves rot quickly, and the nutrients are rapidly reabsorbed by fungi and tiny roots near the surface. The entire system is so efficient that little is lost, and fully 95% of the rainforest's nutrients are held in the living vegetation, hardly any in the soil. To shed its old skin, the coral snake rubs its body against rough surfaces in the leaf litter. A male poison arrow frog is courting a female. With his monotonous song, he will try to entice her to follow him under a leaf where they'll mate. The male leads the way. She follows. Within the shelter of a curled leaf, she'll lay her eggs, and the male will fertilize them. She has produced 5 eggs in a cluster of jelly and will stay nearby until they're ready to hatch. Workers from a colony of leaf-cutting ants are harvesting leaves to take back to their nests. With their scissor-like jaws, they easily cut the leaves to manageable size. But some skill is needed for the next stage, when the leaf is hoisted into position for the journey ahead. For some, the problem may be too much help. For others, just a sudden puff of wind. But they're the exceptions. For most ants, it's only the first step in the long trek back to the nest, which may be 100 yards or more away. They follow a chemical trail laid down by the workers that first scouted this tree, so they seldom go astray. The leaf fragments that they carry are not for eating. Instead, they are employed by the ants at a remarkable system of farming. The leaves are used to culture the fungus that is the only food source for the ants and their brood. Here in the underground garden, the leaves are cut into much smaller pieces and carefully cleaned, probably to remove any spores that might contaminate the pure culture. The leaf edges are chewed to a wet pulp, a clear droplet of body fluid is added to create the perfect foundation for the precious fungus that sustains the colony. This is not the work of leafcutter ants. The insects that create these patterns are seldom seen during the day. In daylight, insects are more vulnerable to predators, so many feed only at night, leaving their mark everywhere in the understory of the forest. But some insects are active by day, and this morpho butterfly is a brilliant target for a jacamar. Before it can be swallowed, the wings must be removed. Great agility and keen eyesight make this anole lizard a formidable predator on small insects. Nearby, a female is shedding. Her old skin is too nutritious to be wasted. She eats every bit of it. The female is in his territory, and by staying, she shows that she is willing to be courted. He displays to her by flashing his brilliant dewlap. A performance like this is both a signal to the female and proclaims his territory. The female will remain here now, and they'll mate frequently over the next few days. Its body blending perfectly with the leaves, a praying mantis settles in a patch of sunlight created by a fallen tree. When a great tree falls, a gap is created in the forest canopy. It is in these sunny spaces that the forest regenerates itself. The seedlings of most forest trees cannot survive in shade. To flourish, they need light. So the competition for space around a fallen tree is intense. And for every sapling, there is a clinging vine competing for a place in the sun. But in this gap, there's a tree that always has clear growing space around it. This species of swollen thorn acacia has evolved a remarkable system of defense. For as soon as a sapling or vine touches it, ants that live on the acacia attack the intruder. They cross onto the touching vine and cut through its leaf stems. In a short time, their work is done, and the vine will lose its leaves, wither, and die. The tree completely supports the ants. It secretes for them a sugar-rich solution, which they drink from little nectaries between the leaves. On the tips of some leaves in each acacia, unique structures are grown especially for the ants. They are rich in protein and vitamins and are taken by the ants to feed their larvae. It's here, within the large hollow thorns of the acacia, that the ants rear their brood. Some of these larvae will mature into fertile adults with wings and fly away to start another colony on a seedling tree. These young basilisk lizards forage along the river's edge. They live in the territory of this adult male, who tolerates them and probably fathered them. But he allows no other adult male to intrude here. This female is exclusively his. Spider monkeys. A lie-in-wait lizard remains perfectly motionless. It's a strategy that serves it well. By keeping still, the lizard is overlooked by both predator and prey, and an unsuspecting victim can be pounced on from above. Rainforests seldom get less than 100 inches of rain in a year. Some even exceed 400 inches. And so most of the leaves in the humid understory of the forest are specially adapted to drain water from their surface as quickly as possible, falls. But when the rains are particularly heavy, the forest becomes saturated. The water runs off to flood the surrounding rivers, flushing fallen trees and debris out to sea. Tide line of rotting vegetation is left on the beach, and a shy agouti forages among it for fruits. As the larva grows, the wasps enlarge its cell by adding another layer of pulp and saliva to the outside rim. And when the nest begins to warm in the sun, they cool their brood by rapidly vibrating their wings to create a current of air. The eggs of a poison arrow frog have hatched, and the female carries 2 tiny tadpoles on her back. While they are developing into frogs, they have to be in water. She takes them up a tree to a site she has chosen in a bromeliad plant. She will deposit them in rainwater held in the bromeliad. She makes her way down a leaf to a small pool at its base. And here she submerges her tadpoles until they release their grip and leave her back. The tadpoles will complete their development in this tiny pool. In 6 to 8 weeks, they'll emerge as frogs and return to the forest floor. Army ants are on the move. They build no permanent nests and constantly comb the forest for their prey. This species preys only on the larvae of social insects, and here they attack a nest of paper wasps. In the face of such an onslaught, there is nothing the wasps can do. They take their plunder to a bivouac on the underside of a fallen log. Here, by linking special hooks at the ends of their legs, they form long hanging chains. Through sheer numbers, these strands mesh together to form the living fabric of the nest. Within the nest, strands of workers interlock to create chambers for the queen and brood.